You are now tuned in to the Gifted Gab.
We're back. Another episode of the Gifted Gab. It's your boy Alex. I'm here with my man Andre Kelly.
Yeah.
Another episode of the Gifted Gab, and we got a special guest today.
Guest or guests? Come on, bro. Plural. Come on.
My fault. I forgot. Sometimes I forget a letter or two, but we're here with the casts. Wrong guess. From TallBoyz. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey.
We got Guled, Franco, Tim, and Vance. The big four. You guys measuring in at what, 25 something? 25 feet?
25 feet, 2 inches.
25
2 inches? Yeah.
Sweet.
And that 2 inches is important.
Can't forget the 2 inches. No, so the TallBoyz, man. These guys just premiered season 2 of their sketch comedy series. You guys make sure you do check it out and tell us, man. Tell us how you guys came about, how you guys started.
Why don't we do it one word at a time?
Don't be shy.
Like an improv.
How'd you guys come together? How did TallBoyz become a thing?
I guess we all sort of knew each other from doing the stand-up comedy in Toronto. We were all like open micers. Yeah, we knew each other and had an idea of our sensibilities. Vance and I, we actually went to the Humber College comedy and writing program together. It's a 2-year program. We met there. Really liked each other's sense of humor, and got to work with each other on a bunch of stuff through there.
And Guled and I are self-taught. We learned comedy from the streets.
I was about to say the exact same thing, It was rough, man. It was rough.
Say that route was a little...
At the corner of 2nd and City.
It's tough, man. Ruthless there, man.
We don't know how to read. We don't know how to read comedy sheet music. We just kind of have it all in our brains.
Raw freestyling, just giving it. I love it. And then you guys came together, and it wasn't TallBoyz at first, right?
No. Franco, we knew each other because we were doing like improv, Second City improv together, and there wasn't a lot of crossover usually in the open mic stand-up versus improv scene. So we were two people who did both and noticed that. And I think it all started after a Sinbad show we watched, Sinbad at JFL 42, where he blew the light and went over time by an hour. And on our way back from that show, Guled, Franco, and I were there, and we were talking about possibly forming an improv troupe. And I threw Vance's name in there. And then a couple months later, we started a sketch troupe called TallBoyz to Men.
I assume that there was some trademark, infringement over there, right?
Love that. So why TallBoyz?
I think it was a friend of the troupe just saw that I think we were all tall, and she's like, "You should be called TallBoyz." Or most of us are pretty tall. We average at about 6'5", I think. And so she was like,
"TallBoyz, Is it skewed because of you?"
Then
No. I think it's mostly Tim and Franco bring the height up quite a bit.
Yeah, we multiply our heights. We divide the heights by 3.
You guys divide the heights by 3? Okay, so I gotta ask, Franco, how tall is your My Player, or the average of your My Players on 2K?
Okay, so right, I haven't played 2K since 212 because I was too addicted to it. I had 4 My Players that were 97. It was a problem. I would sign up to open mics and then just spend all my time playing 2K and not going to my sets. It was the one where Kobe was on the cover and he's ripping his jersey, but each one was I had 4 99 rated players, but the first one was 7-1. First play was 7-1.
I mean, 7 with amazing handles.
Yeah, it doesn't start with hand. It was all dunks. Dunks and defense. It was Sun Ming Ming, but with agility.
So is it true? Is it true that guys who can dance are good at sex?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Like, I mean, I came up with that idea because I don't know. I feel like guys hear this thing around, that like, oh, that somehow being good at dancing is an indication of your sexual prowess. I don't think any studies have been done on it. Like, I hope I can maybe get people to study this and see if there is some correlation between the two. That's really what the sketch is about, is my hypothesis, and I'm hoping someone will either disprove it or add more evidence to it.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not true because I'm not that good at dancing. So please, I hope it's not true.
That's a good point you brought up, because if you're not good at dancing, which is, you're not perpetuating the stereotype that all black people can dance, so there's no problems there.
I was gonna say it'd be funny if it was true, and then like we could see like Ron Jeremy just like break dance really hard. Like Ron Jeremy could do like flares and head spins and stuff.
How conscious was like that part of the show? Because there are a lot of stereotypes you guys take on. I feel like you guys do challenge a lot of like the status quo with this show. Was that a conscious thing, or is that guys are just shooting the shit? Like, tell me about that a little bit.
I mean, it's like I feel like it's I don't know if it's quite conscious. I feel like at times it's just like we talk about, especially when ideas are dealing with like something happened in society or race, we do talk about it quite a bit. And just I think also because we try to be conscious of like what we're saying with the material as well, unless it's some silly idea that has nothing to do with anything. It's just like, I mean, guys who could dance are good at sex. It's like such a silly idea, and even that I still had like second thoughts of like, I don't know if this is true. I don't think this is true. I'm like, I don't want to put that out there, in the world.
Dancers are gonna be mad at us.
Yeah. So I was just, even that I still was like worried about like how's society gonna feel about this? Are we gonna get some very angry opinion columns about this?
So looking at your cast, it's pretty diverse. Obviously, you guys come from a wide range of backgrounds, and I think we're in a time now where that's accepted. It's meant. It's really craved after. So I mean, for you guys, how important is representation? Because like I said, that's something that's really needed in a lot of forms of media, and you don't often see it beforehand.
Yeah, I got my start like doing comedy because I saw representation on CBC. It was called Welcome to Turtle Island, and it was a bunch of indigenous comedians. And that I saw them do that, and that was like, holy shit, I'm funny too, but I didn't know I can get there, Like, I know I have ability, but I didn't know I could have that platform. So I think that's why I pursued it, was because I did see that one comedy special, indigenous comedy special in history. Like, I saw the one in history, and I was like, all right, I can do it too, right? So
Yeah,
I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's definitely like representation, something that's crucial and super important. I think it can be daunting when you think about it in your work. Sometimes like thinking about how you are representing for people who look like you. So to a certain point, I think like you also just have to be yourself, and people will relate to that, and that's where it comes through by oh, there's people out there like that, like yeah.
Like especially what Tim was saying, like it really does get daunting, like because I feel like because their diversity is still such a topic people talk about, of like, we need more diversity out there, we need more stories, that there's still, I feel like this pressure at times to represent. But then I think there's so many ways of being black, there's so many ways of being Somali, there's so many ways of being Vietnamese, there's so many ways of being indigenous. So like, I think the best you can do is just tell your story, and someone else will get a chance to tell their point of view, their humor,
Yeah. I mean, like Alex was saying, you're breaking down those barriers, those stereotypes, from just representing not this singular, black individual that people see on the streets or whoever it may be. You know what I mean? So it's really amazing to see, for sure.
Absolutely. Do you guys ever bat on Vance for being from Edmonton? Because I know a lot of people don't like Edmonton.
No, we don't. I mean, I don't know what's the beef with Edmonton.
We have a couple quips
Oh.
in this. We have at least an Edmonton quip on
Yeah, we got one.
episode 3, I think.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been there?
Yeah, I loved it. Vance took me. We did a comedy festival there after filming the first season. Like immediately the next day, we flew to Edmonton for a week, and it was great. Their valley makes the Don Valley Parkway look like trash. So wide. There's so much green. I thought Toronto had nice nature. We don't.
Yeah, man. That 4 months of the year, it's the most beautiful place in the world.
4 or 2? 4 is generous.
I was gonna say one.
I don't know. I like the leaves change. I like those 2 days the leaves change color and fall off. So
That makes sense.
Sweet. No, this show is really important. Like I think this show is really important for the culture. Like you guys were saying, representation. You know, me personally, I've never seen a Somali stand-up comedian, a Vietnamese stand-up comedian, an indigenous stand-up comedian. You know, sorry, Tim, I've seen a couple of black stand-up.
You watching comics, you?
The representation is probably the most important part. Is that you guys are telling your stories, you guys are telling your kind of your view, your lens, and you guys touch on some serious issues and you make light of it, and that's what comedy's about, you know, and I think it's beautiful. You know, I think it's an amazing thing. I'm glad we discovered TallBoyz, and I think you guys are going to be in this game doing this for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, man. I hope so, yeah. That'd be
Yeah.
Cool to be like.
Don't put money on
also
that. I'm just kidding.
We're in an interesting position also where we're like, yeah, we formed organically, like we're naturally like super diverse. We're not one of those things that like CBC had to sit down and cast a bunch of people. Like I think a lot of our organic energy of like really being friends like is so important to it.
Oh, we didn't have to. It's not like 3 Rachel Dolezals. Like, we didn't have to do makeup or just make our background and birth certificates.
I mean, we did have a sketch we wrote about that once where I had been doing blackface my entire life. Luckily, that didn't go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere, but
We're just gonna have a scene like in the Joker, like in the first Batman movie where he just starts. I don't know. That's all I remember saying.
How did you guys know that you wanted to do comedy per se?
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, individually or as a unit?
Individually and then as a unit.
Okay.
I mean,
definitely.
I added to that as well.
Originally, yeah, we wanted to get into scatting. Scatting was where our heart was at. But there isn't much of a scene for that. At least for me, I went to like an art school in Toronto, the Etobicoke School of the Arts, and I was in there for drama. But in the 10th grade, they had like a stand-up comedy unit, and that was legit like the only time I did all my homework and I got 100% on a project. And like from that moment, I knew like that's what I was into, at least on an individual. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I have like a deep, like kind of like. There's like a bunch of answers, I think, and a bunch of theories as to why I came to comedy. One is because. I don't know the truth, man.
Out there.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, you need to know the Pythagorean theorem to understand where I'm about to go with this. No, it's.
Create so many origin stories. They're all-
I got one for Tim Burton. I got one for Christopher Nolan. I got one for the Adam West. I got one where I have a mustache. Yeah, no, I think it's because like I'm Vietnamese and like there's like it's like familial piety is very common in our culture, so it's a lot of like, oh, parents are always right, children are always wrong. You don't question anything, you don't talk back, anything like that. And I felt like when I went to school and I started like speaking English, it was like almost having a different identity. Because like, you know, at home, I only speak Vietnamese. I talk like a little kid. Even now, as an adult, my Vietnamese sounds like a baby is talking. It's very cute, but it's weird on a man. And but I think because, you know, I remember getting a big laugh in class. There was like a bicycle presentation, and then they're like, you know, you always have to stop when you're on your bike at a stop sign. And then I remember going at the back of the classroom going, even if you're on training wheels, and the class like burst into laughter. And I was like, wow, I'm heard here. I have to interrupt important safety lessons. But I think there's something like deep in comedy where it's like you can grab a mic and, you know, there's something like really raw and honest and fair about, you know, no matter what you look like, there's gonna be a way to make this room accept you and listen to your ideas. You just gotta have like good setups and punchlines. But if you can tell them about your saddest story, all your traumas, if it's in really solid setup and punchline format, oh, then they're gonna listen to you. But if it's not, man, they're gonna walk on you. So I think there's something about that where it's like, yeah, it's like there's something egalitarian about it. Anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna drop big words throughout this.
I love
thing.
that. I love it. Theories.
Words that I'm not. Is this the right word? Do I have confidence in using this? Is someone gonna call me out?
I think so.
Should have brought my
I use
thesaurus.
theory a lot these days to define stuff.
Yeah, it's not egalitarian. It has nothing to do with Eagles, dude. I don't know.
Damn, dude, you look Tom.
Yeah, and we're talking, of course, the band, not the bird.
Of course.
Yeah, for me, I was a terrible science student, and one of the I was thinking of doing public health at one point, and a coordinator who I had a crush on wasn't asked me like what I wanted to do if money were an obstacle, and I told her comedy, and she was like, "Yeah, why don't you try comedy?" And I did, you know, and I've like truly I felt like looking back on that a lot of times I'm like, she caught me at the right time because I was watching a lot of stand-up around that time. If I was doing anything else, I might have answered something else. So sometimes I think about it, I'm like, no, she caught me at the perfect time. She got me at the perfect time, you know?
So far we have like Vance, he saw it on TV, saw someone that reflected him and that inspired him. For me, it was to be heard, and for Guled, it's for love.
That's beautiful. And I know, Vance, you did touch on the representation that you saw, but if you wanted to add to that.
Skipping classes in high school, I went to St. Joe's in Edmonton, and they have this whole individual self-directed learning. So they just give you all the work at the beginning of the year, and they say, all right, get it done by the end of the year. So naturally, everyone doesn't get it fucking done. We're all 16, 17. We're discovering weed and pussy. So I was always in the basement. I always went down to drama, and I was getting laughs there, just doing little drama, like improv stuff, and then that was it. It's the same experience as Franco. You're just like, shit, this feels really good to get like a huge pop and laughter. You're like, I'm good at this. And then fucking flash forward 6 years later, and my mom's like, fuck, you gotta go to college, man. You can't work in like as a waiter your whole life. And I was like, well, if I gotta go to college, I'll do something I'm good at. So I went to comedy, and I met Tim.
I want to add on that because a lot of times we're told that going to school for anything art related is a waste of time. You know what I mean? People say it's not, you're not going to be successful. You know, if you're not in any STEM program, like, what are you doing? You know, you're wasting your money or whatever that may be. So this is a question to everyone here. How important or how valuable was going to school for art, and how did that play into where you guys are right now?
Well, I would say like it just depends what you want to get out of it. Like, if you want to get an immediate job right after it, I would say no. The haters are right. But if you know, like any program, like any learning scenario, you can build a lot of skills that can that will help you laterally. So like yeah, I mean, I went to film school. It taught me how to be creative. It taught me how to structure my work. I learned about deadlines. I learned how to visualize my ideas, and I felt like it helped me organize my comedy a little bit better. And I felt like it helped us. Yeah, like I felt like it helped like put down ideas a lot quicker and clearer. Because when you're working with like, if you're on a film set, you work with like, 30 to 100 other people or more, and they need to know your idea in a clear way, and it's gonna be, and if you have the skill to communicate to 100 people as if it's a one-on-one session, then it's gonna be very valuable. So I think school is great if you know, if you just using it and knowing what it is versus like, oh, this is gonna actually get me, a $70,000 job afterwards, because that's not the case. Like I have friends who are like studied engineering that didn't end up being engineers and had other skills that got them different types of jobs. There's no certainty. The market's broken. We're all going down. Invest in gold, so on and so forth.
Oh man.
Yeah, I definitely found like going to school for art and comedy to be so invaluable. Well, I'd say like comedy specifically, like school is not necessary, really. I mean, it's something you can just figure out on your own at open mics. But like I had the greatest time at Humber. I mean, it definitely just solidified my love for it. It was so great to just spend like 5-6 hours a day, like laughing, doing bits, meeting so many like great, hilarious people who are still doing comedy and like I work with in some capacity. And then, yeah, and I think like number one, I think the most valuable thing about Humber and specifically going to comedy school was it was kind of like this place away from open mics where you're safe to try any like weird, ridiculous, out there idea to this class and like see how they like, and then if that goes well, maybe I'll try it at an open mic, maybe I'll try it at a different show. But it was just another place where I can just like experiment and throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, I think just to add, like for schooling, I think it's just like if you're really good at like self-learning and you have the discipline to self-direct yourself, then I sometimes like with information being readily available, it's probably not the best investment. But if you thrive in environments that are structured for you, then it probably is a great investment. Yeah. Hi, I'm using the word investment. Hi, my name is Franco Nguyen. I work for BMO. If you're looking for a strong, reliable mutual fund, please visit us at www.
Got to get those plugs in somewhere.
This podcast is sponsored by Wealth Simple.
Yeah, they're everywhere, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, do free trades with zero commission.
They make TikToks that look like, every time it looks like a legitimate TikTok, then I look, I'm like, oh, it's Well Simple. You got me again. I was like, it's just someone talking to the camera. Hey, do you know something I thought about? I'm like, yeah, what do you think about? I'm like, oh, damn it, you got me. I was like,
Yeah, I downloaded it. I bought some AMC 2 weeks ago. It was good.
did you?
We're doing. Yeah. Bought some AMC. I'm just waiting for the movie theaters to come back open and 70% of the United States population to get vaccinated so they can start filling up those theaters and filling my pockets.
A lot of things got to line up for this investment to pay off.
It'd be funny if you're like, I bought one share. All that for like $60.
Man, what was the hardest thing that you guys had to really act out on TallBoyz? What was one of the hardest scenes? You don't have to spoil anything, but is there anything that you guys are uncomfortable doing on camera or even on stage?
It's funny because like the scenes where we like, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone else, but the scenes where I have to drop my pants, even though I'm wearing underwear and stuff, it's like flesh colored underwear, and it's not like I'm just doing it to camera. There's a whole there's a whole crew watching. So it feels real. And I'm acting, so I'm trying to believe in it. So the humiliation feels real. And then it's just like, in my mind, they're like, oh, I'm just like, oh, how close are they looking?
That makes you a good actor.
And then, yeah. And I'm just worried, like, the DP is like, okay, we got it.
So this is how
Make sure everything's in focus here.
What kind of lens are we using?
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta switch up the lens. I'm like, no. Let's just stay on the 50. Realistic. Yeah.
Man, I agree with Franco. I think like that part is it took me a while to get used to. Of just like now when I watch shows, I have a different appreciation for them because I know that especially like if they're doing a scene where like, oh, this is very vulnerable. There's probably like 20, 30 people watching them do this thing, you know? If it's sex, then it might be a close set, so it might be a smaller group of people, but still, there's people watching it on, what they call a video village outside of the room. So there's still a lot of people watching you pretend to, like, I did this, I'm thinking now for this season probably it's when I played a magician, a sexy magician, and I had to simulate climaxing, and that was definitely it was I had to get out of my own head and be like, okay, I gotta I'm not actually masturbating, but I got it.
My favorite day on shooting was when you played Freeze that day.
Oh yeah, oh I forgot.
That was such a weird. Can we tell you what Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he's like
like
a superhero. Yeah.
And
his dick comes out at the end of his character. So he had a prosthetic penis that was just
looked
like
so
surprisingly
real.
lifelike.
It looked so
because they before we shot, they're like, okay, we're gonna bring out a felt penis, and then we're like, okay, felt is like whatever, it's just a soft material, but they. Like, we were thinking Sesame Street, but it was like, it was more the Muppets.
Yeah. And we were just filming on the street in Etobicoke, in Toronto, and it was like, it wasn't close. It was like school let out time. There were parade lines of children walking by. Yeah.
This 6'8" man having like a felt penis hangout. While children are walking by.
I don't know why I still don't know why it was purple. It was purple. It was like very like muted purple or something like that. I don't know why they chose that. But...
It was so gross.
Yeah. It's the anatomically correct purple penis. It was so.
Yeah, man. It looked like, you know how big. It's like if Big Bird. It was like Big Bird's stick, but like that's the human part of it.
Yeah, the only part that's not in costume.
It's like the puppeteer's penis.
Yeah.
Wow, it was weird.
So I gotta ask, because I know scenes like that, like you're saying, could be pretty awkward. You know, you're probably thinking like, damn, like why am I doing this? Was there ever a regret, or was there ever a plan B with doing this? Because I know art is one of those things that's not solidified, it's not guaranteed, it's not fixed. You don't go into art thinking, okay, you're automatically gonna win $100,000, right? So was there ever any hesitation there? Like, how'd you guys feel about that?
I just want to point out that like we were just like a moment ago was like and then it looks like Big Bird's dick, and then you're like, so with art,
it's okay. We transit. Penises could be art too. I mean,
that's true.
Okay, depending on how you
Michelangelo.
I do think about how I don't know. Sometimes I have this thing. I've never mentioned this to anyone, but sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like to grow up in a country where like the naked human body is not a sexualized thing, or to grow up in a place where that wasn't the thing. Because like anytime I see like even a piece of art with like a nude woman on it, I'm immediately getting turned on. I'm like, no, wait, is there another feeling that could be happening? Is there something else I could be noticing if I'm not getting aroused by this?
You just said everything that we
Apathy. I'd go with apathy.
Yeah, exactly. Apathy. Is there some sadness I'm not noticing? You know, like what's
So no regrets on the penis.
A few regrets. I just didn't know there'd be as many children. Luckily, they gave me a robe that I could put on in between takes, which I was very quick to I was covering it up with my hands between while I was waiting for the rope to come, because literally in the middle of the street, like we're on a corner of the street and people are walking by, and I'm just like, hey, how's it going? And cars are driving by. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Like, give me the rope quickly. So,
I feel like a robe makes that
It
creepier.
makes it way creepier. I was about to say.
Here's a robe and slippers if you want.
I think a robe makes it so much worse. I'm just picturing it in my head. It's like the robe makes.
It's one step below a trench coat.
that's true.
I was just gonna touch on the art, like if there's any second chance. I definitely know with like comedy, like yeah, there was never like a guaranteed career path in it, but I know like it's something I'm passionate about, and like no matter what, like yeah, if I was working in an accountant job or something, doing stand up on my spare time would be like something I'd want to do like for the rest of my life. Like it's like maybe not as always the like it's something I'm passionate about and want to continue in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I agree with him. Like I do wonder if this show hadn't happened, how I'd feel about doing comedy sometimes, because like it still is something that I do enjoy, and I'm like, yeah, I would love to still do it just on the side, just as something that's a fun thing that doesn't have any monetary gain but makes me feel good.
Yeah. Like right before we got the show, I was like after film school, I worked on like 1 or 2 sets, and for a long period of time, I was just not working. I was like really drifting, and I was doing stand up. And then when I like at some point, I got a job in sales, selling, just ripping people off with websites. It was horrible, but it was a really good sales job, and we got paid, and they had like a good RRSP program, and like I was like making the most money I'd ever made in my life. And I remember scrolling through my timeline and just seeing all my friends like just talking about their doing open mics and like getting onto festivals, which it's not always like the most in terms of monetary value, it's not like the most lucrative, but I was just like, I hated spending so much time doing something I didn't care about, and so it's just like that. Yeah, I mean, passion is so important. So I don't know, that's for anyone that's deciding to go to school. It's like, yeah, if you're passionate about it, just
There's always going to be a way to make money. There's especially in art, there's like things we haven't even heard of. Like there's backwoods fucking places hiring actors, I don't know, to pretend to be I heard this old white dude, his name's Tom, old white dude. His name's Tom Edwards, real good guy. He's an improviser. He's an old white dude. But every summer he would get paid by the military to pretend to be refugees for exercises and stuff like that. And he got paid like fucking good money. And it was just like, yeah, if you're passionate about something, there's a will, there's a way.
Up in these exercises, what's happening?
you just old white guy playing.
Well, like just like they play villagers and stuff like that, and then they go through their day and they just do normal day activities until a raid happens. Then they have to pretend to be scared and something. So, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know. Yeah, he's so.
My mind went to like the guy. Is like the old white dude is like, oh, I'm a villager, please don't hurt me. And I was like, okay, Thomas, we don't need the accent, please. We're playing the facts on the scene. No, this is good. I was like, please, come on. Please, come on. No.
He's so method.
I love that. I wanted to touch on that, what you were saying about passion. What advice do you have for people that are in between right now? People that, especially from your guys' backgrounds, you guys come from very diverse cultures. For someone that comes from an immigrant family, me saying to my parents, hey, I want to do comedy, that's not always an easy conversation to have, especially when, especially if, they might want something else for you. What kind of advice would you give someone that, wants to have that conversation with their family and want to pursue their passion?
I mean, I had that conversation with my dad when I started comedy. It was not an easy conversation for sure because I'm telling them that I'm doing this thing that I don't even quite understand how it works, but I do know that I enjoy doing it. It took me a while. I think after getting the show, he gave me a high five. I remember that experience. He was really happy about it, and then started telling me about comedians he'd heard on the radio. Like there's another comedian, Somali Hodo Hersey, very funny. He's like, I heard her on the radio, and I was like, oh, so he's sharing like his comedy knowledge with me, and I've never really talked to him about it, but I think there's for him specifically, like I think there was fear of the unknown, of like he didn't know what could happen if I pursue this thing, and he wanted me to go get a master's degree or go back to university in some form, because he's like, I know that this path will lead to a job because some people have done this path before, but this other path I'm not sure what it is. So for him, like he was like ecstatic to know that like, oh, I'm making money and I'm going to be okay. And he was the happiest when like I sent my sister some money to buy a laptop. He was like, oh my God, this is so, like he was, I think we were more proud of that than even getting the show, you know, because for him, providing for family is such a huge part of it. So sometimes, I don't know, maybe being understanding of some of their fears of like, you know, they didn't have these opportunities, and for them, they're just scared for you, you know? And it's not even like they're hating on your style or anything like that. Like they don't want me to be great. It's like, they're like, I don't know what this thing is, you know?
Let them know, Abdi, I got this, you know?
Exactly. Just chill. I'm the next Eddie Murphy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think like a lot of immigrant communities too, it's because you worship your parents so much, and sometimes it's interesting too because there's like a whole, you know, sometimes it's tied to economics as well. Like for my family, it was hard to, like a lot of times I would be riding the Blue Night home from an open mic and thinking like, man, my mom left war-torn Vietnam on a boat so I could get paid in beer tickets. You know, it's like, really? I'm like, what am I doing? But I think there's also like a whole generation of or first generation of Canadian or like immigrant children of immigrants that like have to sacrifice, and it's kind of like drilled into you. Okay, you're gonna be it's almost like it's almost like being like the Jesus of your family. Like you're gonna be the one that catapults us out of like poverty. You're gonna be the one that like gets a good job and gets benefits, and sometimes because there's so much pressure on you, you feel like, okay, well, there was so much sacrifice, I have to do this. And I think I know a lot of people that kind of, you know, follow through on their parents' expectation of them, and they're incredibly unhappy, you know. And so it's kind of like, it's hard for me to say because I don't know anyone's circumstance. I don't know what your financial circumstance is. Like, you know, for some people, you working as an engineer can take care of, like 12 families in your home country, and that's a lot of value to you, and that brings you happiness. But for some people, it's like, okay, I'm just doing this to make my mom happy. Then my question to you is like, okay, well, what are you doing for yourself? Because that should be the most important thing. And if you're happy, hopefully they're going to be happy. And I totally get, like, it's like an impossible thing to say to yourself, say like, oh, I deserve to be happy, and I don't care if I get paid nothing. This is what makes me happy. It probably sounds like like parcel tongue, like your parents are like, oh, are you talking like a Slytherin? Like what are you saying? But honestly, like I know a lot of people that are like well into their like 40s and 50s that are like, man, I just wish I did something that made me happy. And so yeah. Anyways, Gold is doing well. Get all the best.
A sincere moment with a joke.
What did Franco say before that joke?
That's like how corporations do it. They put something profound and then just right at the end. It's well, simple.
Well, Simple's gonna come.
Invest in your heritage.
Well, Simple's gonna come for us after this episode.
No.
Yeah, with a deal. Yeah, this is free.
We've mentioned them probably more than anyone who's not sponsored by them.
Oh man!
Damn it, they got me again.
You know what? We've mentioned Wealth Simple, but we haven't mentioned what our show is called. I probably said like Wealth Simple like 20 times. It said TallBoyz 0.
TallBoyz. So tell us a little bit more about this upcoming season. Tell us what we can expect. What you guys are looking forward to.
Yeah, we definitely I think hit our stride after the first season. I think making the first season was so much learning as we went, because I mean it was our first time on like a professional set altogether, and a lot of things brand new for us. So I think doing that first season, we're so happy to get another shot at it, and I think like we just kicked it up a notch. Like we some wilder characters, a lot more costumes and a lot more songs, and it was kind of a crazy writing process because of COVID and the whole pandemic. We had initially wrote what we thought was going to be our season 2 and just finished writing it right when the pandemic hit, and then we couldn't film, so we just kind of kept on writing throughout that, and like came up with some new material, of course, inspired by that, and yeah,
we're relevant, man. We're so relevant. We're about right now. I'm really excited for the finale. I think we wrote this sketch about us finding racist material in a storage unit and what are we gonna do with it. So I think it's I don't know. It's just kind of like it's a big risk, and I'm excited. I'm like, what are people gonna say? Like, are we gonna get just negatively panned for this? Well, I'm excited for that. That, like, what's that look like? You know, how do we write about that? You know, so it's exciting to write like outlandish stuff, and I think we wrote some outlandish stuff this season.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like this season we had a lot more fun. There's a lot, there's just a lot of learning, and I feel like we took a bunch of risks. And I think one of the things I think people should be excited for is more facial hair. Like, we got more mustaches coming up.
Despite production saying we shouldn't do that, they said let's do a lot less mustaches. They're
like, are you sure you're playing an 8th grader in this? I'm like, nah, give me a beard. Give me Fred VanVleet's beard.
Guys, so what's the highlight? I was gonna say, what's the highlight of this season? What's your funnest moment? Your most exciting moment?
I'm pretty pumped for Guled's dick out superheroes. That was so much fun to write in the writers' room, and then it was weird to see it come alive, and I just can't wait till it's out in the world.
Yeah, and this may or may not be a lie, but if you check it out on CBC Gem, it'll be totally uncensored.
It's like BT Uncut, you know?
And that thing was uncut, let me tell you.
This dude feels everything.
Broadcasters are probably like, God damn it, Franco.
If you go on CBC Gem after midnight, you see it all.
That's right.
And then log on to Wealth Simple, use promo code Guled's.
Yeah, for 0% trades on all commissions. And then at the end of the episode, just like BET Uncut, they're gonna air Nelly's tip service just for no reason.
You went in the vault with that one.
Oh my goodness.
I think about sometimes how like music videos were part of like my sexual awakening, like watching some music videos and being like this is, because at that time like growing up like now being in my 30s, being like at that time like the computer like was a family computer. I wasn't really on it all that time, you know, so I just like it was music videos to make sure no one was around, you know.
Do you ever watch what commercial that used to always go on during the BET Uncut was the Girls Gone Wild commercials where it's like they go to spring break and they show their things, which was in retrospect, it was so ridiculous how a part of my sexual awakening it was because of the voiceover. It was always like, "Girls Gone Wild, coming back." This voice is turning me. How is this voice not turning me off? These girls are hotter than ever.
Yeah, guys are afraid to moan. I'm in my girls' ear like, "Girls Gone Wild, here we go."
The guy that does the voice of SpongeBob is like voiceover in this thing. It's weird. It's all cut, uncut, and uncensored. Order now, $39.95.
I need to know who approved it, man.
What was that?
I said I need to know
Who approved that?
Let me sit down with you.
I feel like you're competing with infomercials in general.
Well, it was probably just because they were so used to like the conventional infomercial where it's like, "Has this happened to you?" And then it's like you spill them off. But then they're like, "Let's just do the same thing. Have you ever been horny?" Stop.
Yeah, it's
Those late night calls were around.
Oh yeah, Quest.
Those sensual Quest, yeah. They didn't pick up on that. Let's still use Jerry.
Oh man.
I could only imagine what that writer room is like. You guys heard it here first. TallBoyz on CBC and CBC Gem, Tuesday nights. You know, any last words, gentlemen?
Just check out Well Simple. Use my referral code so I could get $25. I'm trying to buy a couple more shares of AMC. I feel like GameStop. Hang on.
Hang on.
We don't know when the cycle's gonna end. It's coming back.
If you're looking to open up a donaire shop in Toronto, hit me up. I'll happily invest with you. They don't have good donaire out here, so just hit me up.
That was the Edmonton in him right there. Shout out to the shops in Edmonton. Guys, thank you so much. Queen, shout out to Queen Donaire.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hey man.
Thanks for having us. A lot of fun.
TallBoyz, you heard it here first. The Gifted Gab. Make sure you guys do tap in to Tuesday nights.
And just like that, the Gifted Gab, baby.
We out.
We gone.